Exactly 1 year ago, I bought the UK's cheapest hot hatch for just £460. I'm Cayman, and this is Gigi.
And Gigi is a Mark IV Golf GTI Turbo with the iconic 1.8T.
So let me quickly tell you about the good parts and the bad parts.
It's a really high-spec GTI with heated seats, front and rear electric windows, a fully electric sunroof, cup holders, a 5-speed manual, a beautiful cream leather interior, and that the car was £460. The bad parts, however, was that for £460, I had gotten £460 worth of car. There's a nasty leak that turns the car mouldy, there's no MOT, and it's got rust pretty much everywhere you can think of. Boot lid, bonnet, sill, rear axle, the list genuinely goes on. And I almost forgot to say, she's got over 308,000 miles.
Anyways, in this series, I am determined to get this dirty, rusty, cheap, high mileage hero back on the road and hopefully becoming my daily driver for when I move down to Glasgow, because she can get into the low emission zone. And eventually, hopefully making some very big power. And for those of you who are new to the channel, please consider subscribing, as the analytics show that only 8% of you guys who are watching are subscribed. Now let's go on with the video.
Okay, so the biggest MOT failures are to do with the rust on the sill and how it needs welding. So let's go on Facebook Marketplace and find a welding machine. Alright, so I found one around an hour and a half away, and a quick Google search shows that they retail for around £500, and he's selling his welder for £200. It also comes with a few extra bits, gas, wire, and a few tips. I met a couple people from climbing who are actually welders, so I'm going to ask what they think about it. Perfect! They both say it's a good deal, except they say as a precaution, make sure you ask the seller to show it in action and make sure the machine actually arcs up. So I've arranged to meet the guy tomorrow. So now we're on our way to pick up the welder. And so after the seller proved to me that the welder worked, I gave the man his money, and I took home my brand new welder. But you see, I've got an issue. Before you weld the car, I've got to disconnect the battery, or else I might fry all of the electrics. But I'm locked out of the car, I can't get the bonnet open, which means I can't get the battery out. So what are you meant to do in this situation? You see, the plan originally was to attach the positive and negative of my jump pack to the alternator to try and charge up the battery and enter the car. But there was no access to the alternator from underneath the car. So instead, I'm going to reach from underneath the car through the engine bay and try to pull the bonnet release cable. And in order to do that, we need to take off the undertray, which we need to start off by unscrewing 4 screws. Or in my case 3, since I've lost one. Right now I'm using the torch to look up into the engine bay to see if I can find the bonnet release cable, but honestly I can't really see anything. So instead I'm just shoving my hand up there, seeing if I can feel a cable of any sorts and push it to the other side. I think right now I'm feeling a cable of some sort, but I don't know if it's the right one and I don't want to break anything. You can hear that I got it in this clip, and you just need to pull it harder than you think. It really sounds and feels like you broke something, but you just double check it and would you look at that, the bonnet opens. And basically what's going on in that clip is that I'm reaching from underneath and I'm shoving this cable. You can also shove that little lever there, but I couldn't quite reach it. But the cable's actually stiff enough to shove it from this side and it will still release the bonnet catch. So now that that's out of the way, let's practice some welds. Luckily I kept my old bonnet, which means I actually have quite a lot of material to mess around with. What's pretty good is that the bonnet should be around the same thickness or even thinner than what I should be welding with. It might make for some pretty decent practice. So what I'm doing is grinding off all the paint till it's bare metal, so that I actually have a surface to weld on. And so this was the very first time I messed around with the welder. I wouldn't recommend welding with no gloves or sleeves on, since all of that spatter is actually just molten balls of metal. The next day I got a friend who's also a welder, and he taught me how to weld. And here's a look at that weld. Honestly, I'm pretty chuffed with this weld. It wasn't spattery, it made a good sound, and I actually think it looks pretty good. Learning how to weld was definitely a little bit harder than I thought. At first I thought you just pull the trigger and it just went. And in a way it kind of does. But a lot of it, you do need to learn the machine and sort of what settings to use for what types of metal. And it's a lot of trial and error, seeing whether a certain distance away from the metal works better, or wire speed, or if you're closer the gas might be better, and that causes less spatter, which obviously gives you a nice clean weld. So I practiced and practiced and practiced until I filled out my whole original piece of area that I grinded out. And if you remember me saying that I had a friend earlier who taught me how to weld, he also gave me the helmet, or the mask, or whatever you want to call it. And I think I'm also wearing the gloves and sleeves he gave as well. Anyways, in this clip, I'm practicing on a little bit of a thicker sheet that my friend gave me. And that's because I ran out of space on the bonnet where I grinded off. And I wanted to practice a little bit more. And hey, you know what? These slugs are pretty nice. And then the next day I practiced some more by grinding another spot in my bonnet. And then proceeding to lay some dimes. This time, instead of trying to lay big, consistent, long lines of welds, I was just trying to practice some little tacks, which I'll probably be doing on the sill. As you can see, I blew a light hole there, but hey, that's what practicing's for. I'd much rather do it on a scrap bonnet than on my sill, doing the real thing.
Honestly, I don't think that's too bad. I'm just gonna get the gas. I'm just gonna refill the gas and then practice some more. So out with the old and in with the new. The gas is refilled. And that means, listen, that sound means there's gas.
And so now that I know how to use the machine, I practiced a lot more.
Honestly, I don't think they're too bad. Especially the last two runs. I think these are pretty good. Not too bad. So last one I did this one, and then the one I just did was this one. It seems like I have a little more space up here, so I'm gonna try and weld up there. This first pass is actually pretty good. Not bad.
You see, maybe my standards are too low, but I'd be pretty happy if I saw that on my sill.
Honestly, I think I did pretty good. I think some of these welds are genuinely pretty, like, not bad, and I will be able to weld my car. Obviously I don't want holes, but this is very thin sheet metal, so I think it's a couple mil thinner than what I will be welding. I tried to do some verticals as well. If you've watched up until this point, thank you very much for watching, and I'd really appreciate it if you liked or subscribed, or even like shared it, I don't know, or even commented it. Even if it's like, you're bad at welding, I'll appreciate the comment, because it boosts the algorithm. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you in the next episode. The next episode is probably going to be pretty important, because I don't know if I'm ready to weld it, but I'm ready to weld it, you know?
So hopefully in the next episode, I'll be cutting off the sill and removing all of that rust. And then, who knows, I might even make a start on getting the car welded. Right now, I'm editing the video that you're watching just now, and my sill has actually arrived, the replacement sill. So it's confirmed that the next episode will be me chopping the sill and maybe making a start on the welding. Who knows?